Welcome back to Games Revealed. I'm James and also The Brink, and we are one community here. What if the games you paid for just disappeared? Not a glitch, not your console dying, just gone forever. Well, that's not science fiction. It's been happening, but gamers are fighting back, and for the first time, it's actually working. Also, we had on the Off the Console podcast, we talked to Ross from Accursed Farms, and it was a great conversation. He's one of the spearheads for this movement. So Stop Killing Games is a global movement sparked by the rising trend of publishers remotely disabling games you already own. You bought it, you downloaded it, you installed it, then they shut it off just like that, like you're a piece of shit. That you don't matter. They got your money. It's not just about online-only titles. Even single-player games with DRM check-ins are being turned off, and gamers, they're done being quiet about it. Things exploded earlier this year, or more like last year, when Ubisoft killed The Crew, which is a 2014 title. Even though it had a single-player mode, servers were shut down and the game became unplayable. No patch, no refund, no way to preserve it, where it should be pretty easy to preserve these things. This was the final straw, and that's when gamers like me and you got kind of tired of it. Okay, not really us, because we're just finding about it now, but launched the Stop Killing Games on change.org and stopkillinggames.com. And recently it blew up. Some Ordinary Gamer, MoistCritikal, Asmongold, Linus Tech Tips, Jacksepticeye, they've all backed the movement publicly by posting on YouTube, either a video or just a YouTube post. Even the European Parliament noticed. In fact, the EU Commission is now investigating these anti-consumer practices. Video games, Europe.eu, if you want to go over there and look, it's that big. Just a week ago, the pension was at 51%, or I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, more or less, when I wrote this. It was a week ago. As of right now, we're over 100% of the required threshold for EU action. That means they have to respond and possibly legislate this. They have to do something about it, whether it's just saying, no, they don't need to do anything. Getting some type of answer is better than nothing. If you live in the US, Canada, Australia, wherever you might think this doesn't affect you, but it does, because the games you buy are still at risk no matter where you are. Digital ownership is a lie. We're not buying games anymore. We're renting access. And when the publisher pulls the plug, there's nothing you can do unless we fight. Now, I'm a big proponent of preservation alone. Being able to access these games 20, 30 years down the road for preservation's sake. Not just because we paid for it, but this is where we're going to win. So what are publishers saying? Not much, but the Video Games Europe group, a lobbying body for the industry, released a statement trying to downplay the movement. They say shutdowns are rare and necessary, but they also admit to a need for better transparency. That's code for we know we messed up, but we're not ready to stop it. It just takes one of these groups to stop it. We just need a law in Europe. So what are we asking for? Simple things, really. This is the start of the whole thing. Patch games to keep offline play. Offer refunds if access is removed. Be transparent about end-of-life dates. Let the modding community and preservation communities take over when you're done. Let them just do it. Don't sue them, Nintendo. Gamers don't want a free ride. We want fairness. We want respect. We want the right to play what we bought. So here's what you can do right now. You can sign the petition at stopkillinggames.com if you're a European citizen. If you are not, you cannot do that, and don't try. But if you're not a European citizen, if you're in the States like me, shout out your representatives. Maybe eventually we'll get enough people to get some change here. We could even start our own petition if we wanted to here. But yeah, you can start at least there, but then we can also share the message with our friends, post tweets, make memes. Maybe eventually people in the European Union will see it. And that is the big kicker to this whole thing. Once we can get them to take it seriously, it's going to have a rolling effect of going to affect us. Just like Apple had to put the into the iPhone, a USB-C port, because of the European Union, hopefully this will cause some changes for us to actually own the games we have. If they're going to put it in for just European citizens, it's just simpler typically to just do it for everyone instead of trying to, have the service on for some people. Might as well have it on for everyone. So it should affect us all. Now, number 4 is push platform holders like Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation to protect your purchases. Steam has been an advocate and also a little bit of a foe in the past. Right now, though, because of refund policies and refund lawsuits in Australia, with Steam, we now have a really good refund policy with them. So if we give them enough, especially Steam, they do try to be more consumer friendly. And so this alone could push them to be like, yeah, you guys can't do that. But there could be a legal reason. So maybe Steam can't fully say, yeah, you don't have control over your code. You can't just turn off something you sold. But the European Union can say you can do that. And that just might set precedents everywhere else. So yes, this might be the first time in gaming history where we're actually seeing momentum. Let's not waste it, because this is actually really good. And if we get this passed, we'll be able to get more protections passed. This is just the beginning. So make sure to subscribe, bash that bell with your crowbar, do all the good things to keep up to date with us here at Games Revealed, and don't let them kill your games. I will try to let you know what comes of this whole thing. And I believe the petition ends the end of July. So we still have a couple more weeks to really showcase our support for this. You can also watch the Off the Console podcast episode we just did with Ross. He goes over a lot of really good topics with it. So make sure to go on over there. I'll leave a link in the description below. And then also just remember that this is the start of, like, even in that interview with Off the Console with Ross, I pushed a little hard for World of Warcraft. Even though I don't think it's going to end anytime soon, I'm curious what would happen to games that are really hard to keep around. And he brought up some really good points that this is an overarching thing that's going to, it's not going to protect everything. It's going to try to protect as much as it can first. And then once we can win, then we have precedents, and then we can go after maybe smaller things to say, hey, you have to offer some type of client as an end of life, just practice. Like, game companies need to start actually giving us ways to play the games as an end of life practice. And really, any company that says they don't have this source code anymore for old stuff are incompetent, or they're lying to you. There's no in between there, honestly. In the past, if a game was okay, there's older games before source code happened, but in the last 20 years, if a game company says they do not have the source code to go back and, let's say, there's a bunch of games. Let's say World of Warcraft even. They're releasing classic versions of it, so they're able to go back, right? But let's say if they didn't have that, they'd be lying, because they have source code to where it's like timestamps. So every time they push code, it's like a timestamp, and it collects over time, and you can revert back to previous branches and commits and have the project back then. Now, that being said, if they say they don't have that ability, like Destiny 2, where they say they can't go back to previous like before other DLCs released, especially Bungie, I think that it'd be lying, or they're very incompetent, and I don't trust them at that point. If I was a business partner, I would not trust them. So with that being said, let's do our best to just try to keep this as broad as possible. And then most likely the earliest that something like this would be put in front of council or whoever it's going to be put in front of around January next year. So after that, and after we get a good final verdict on things, or probably later than January, how politics works, we can then start pushing for stronger protections in other areas. But this is a good first start, and maybe we can finally really show the industry that you can't screw over the customers. Like, let's live in harmony, guys. You can't keep on milking us. If you're going to give us a game, make sure that we have just give us a patch to then be able to play it offline. I don't think it's that hard. As a developer, I really think it's incompetence, or it's just they really are very money grubby. So with that being said, Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check out some of the other stuff I have below, including Some Ordinary Gamer and MoistCritikal. And with Mutahar on that, we might have some special thing coming up with him even. So, but ignore that until it happens, if it does happen. So thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys next time. Peace out. Later.